the hero who was banished by the whims of a goddess, forced to face monsters and impossible challenges in search of his redemption and glory. This is the story of Hercules, whose 12 labors transformed his divine condemnation into an immortal legend. This story begins under the silver light of the moon. An ancient ruined temple whispers stories of the past, where its fractured columns rise like silent guardians, while the engravings on stones tell of feats that few remember. Among the rubble, two figures advance with silent steps. An old man in a dark robe and a white beard, whose staff hits the ground with the weight of the centuries, and at his side, a young traveler, whose eyes reflect with wonder. The old man, letting out a deep sigh, proclaims, "Look around you, young traveler." These ruins murmur the epic of a man who dared to challenge the impossible, a man whose name evokes reverence and fear. His destiny was forged in both glory and suffering. I speak of the most legendary hero, Hercules, son of Zeus, supreme of the Olympian gods and emblem of unbreakable strength. However, the young traveler asks, "Hercules, the strongest man who ever lived. But tell me, old man, was it only his inhuman strength that inscribed him in the eternity of human legends?" Oh no, curious young man, strength is only a tool. Hercules' true legacy lies in his struggle against an implacable destiny. Although he was the son of a god, his existence was a torment perpetual. Hera, the jealous wife of the king of Olympus, hated him with a burning fervor. In her anger, she condemned him to madness, a madness that led him to destroy that which he loved most. His story is not only that of a hero who lifted mountains and defeated monsters. It is the chronicle of a man who carried a curse, who fought against his own destiny, and who, in the midst of suffering, found immortality. The young traveler says to him, "Old man, you speak as if his destiny as Hercules had been a curse." That is right, young traveler. Hercules' glory arose from the deepest pain. His blood, marked by the divinity of being the son of Zeus, also carried the wound of a tragic destiny. Hera, the jealous wife of the king of Olympus, hated him with incandescent fervor, because his birth was the fruit of Zeus's infidelity, thus sealing Hercules with implacable contempt. This rejection plunged him into a spiral of madness, and in that abyss of confusion and despair, he committed the most atrocious crime. For in a fit of unconsciousness, Hercules ended up attacking his own family. When, finally, reason returned and he faced the horror of his actions, guilt devoured him from within. Desperate for redemption, he turned to the oracle at Delphi, where the answer was as clear as it was implacable. He must submit to King Eurystheus and perform 12 impossible labors. Only through this arduous penance could he hope to find the forgiveness that his tormented soul so longed for. Here begin the majestic 12 labors of our hero Hercules. Defeating the Nemean lion. There, in the hills of Nemea, lurked a beast whose roar shook the earth. The beast was no ordinary lion, but a beast forged with the fury of the gods. For its hide, impenetrable as celestial iron, repelled any weapon, and its claws, sharp as divine blades, were said to be able to tear apart the very rocks. Its roar, a primal echo, shook the firmament. Confident in his prowess, Hercules launched a shower of arrows, only to watch, in amazement, as they bounced uselessly, as if crashing against a stone wall. It was at that moment that Hercules' true greatness was revealed. He understood that no projectile could defeat the beast, so he resolved to face it with the strength of his own being. He entered the deepest part of the cave, into a darkness so absolute that it seemed to swallow time itself. Without warning, the lion burst into the gloom, launching itself with fury and unleashing a storm of sharp claws. With unwavering determination, Hercules enveloped him in an iron embrace, fighting with an intensity that made the very earth tremble. The battle was epic. Each blow resonated like thunder, and the echo of the combat was lost in the infinite. Finally, with an act of pure strength and will, Hercules suffocated the beast, sealing his victory and forging his eternal legend. To prove his victory, he took the lion's claw, and with it, tore his own skin, thus creating an indestructible armor that would accompany him forever. Defeat the Lernaean Hydra. In the dark marsh of Lerna, where the mist merges with the stagnant water, lurked the Hydra. This many-headed monster was a sight of horror. Its breath poisoned the air, and its gaze was enough to paralyze the bravest. But its greatest danger was its ability to regenerate. It was said that if one head was cut off, two new ones would emerge, as if the creature fed on the very act of its destruction. However, Hercules, armed with his determination, entered the fetid swamp. And at that moment, the creature emerged amidst swirls of water and smoke, its eyes shining with ancient fury. With each slash of his sword, the hero faced the Hydra's relentless regeneration. At that moment, the young traveler says to him, "Old man, it must have been a desperate fight, wasn't it?" So it was, but Hercules did not face the Hydra alone. With determination, he called his nephew Iolaus, who, carrying a flaming torch, instantly cauterized each head that fell beneath the edge of the hero's sword, preventing any more from emerging. The coordination between the two was impeccable, and little by little, the tide of combat tipped in favor of Hercules. Finally, when the last immortal head appeared before him, the hero, without hesitation, struck it down for good, thus sealing the fate of the fearsome creature in a supreme act of courage and cunning. Capturing the Cyrenian Hind. Beyond the sacred groves, on the plains bathed in the light of dawn, lived the Cyrenian Hind, an ethereal and sacred animal, sacred to the goddess Artemis. The story goes that its feet, as light as the wind, left footprints that seemed to dance on the ground, while its horns, shining like pure gold, sparkled with an almost heavenly glow. However, Hercules knew that he could not bring the hind down, for to do so would offend the goddess. Instead, he set out on a chase that lasted almost a year, crossing rivers, mountains, and valleys. The hind moved with superhuman grace and speed, while the tireless hero adapted to each ambush and each route along the way. At that moment, amazed by the story, the young man cannot contain himself and interrupts him, exclaiming, "Wow, what an epic hunt! It must have been a constant challenge, with each dawn bringing with it a new obstacle." The old man, with a big smile, answers him, "Exactly." With each sunset, Hercules became more astute, learning the secrets of the doe's way. Finally, in an instant filled with respect and admiration, the hero managed to capture her without spilling a drop of her precious blood, proving that true strength is forged by combining vigor, patience, and a deep reverence for the divine. Capturing the Erymanthian boar. On the steep slopes of Erymanthus, where the snow mixes with the frost of perpetual winter, lurked a wild creature, a boar of enormous fury. Its tusks, as sharp as blades forged in the forge of the storm, and its deafening bellow announced the imminent arrival of a tempest of fury. However, without thinking twice, Hercules ascended the steep slopes, following the trail left in the fresh snow. The hunt became a dance of life and death, where each footstep in the snow sang the inevitable melody of destiny. Finally, when the boar launched itself to attack, the young hero reacted with agility, leaping and pouncing on the beast. With unwavering determination and overwhelming strength, he brought down the fierce beast with his imposing club, immobilizing it instantly so that he could chain it up and carry it on his shoulders to Mycenae. At that moment, the young man asks him, "Hey, old man, the boar, despite its ferocity, could not escape the determination of Hercules, right?" Surprised by the young man's deep intrigue about the story, he answers with a slight smile, "Correct." With a titanic effort, he captured it and brought it before Eurystheus, leaving the king trembling at the magnitude of such a feat. Finally understanding the strength demonstrated, the monarch hastily retreated, taking refuge in a specially forged vase intended to safeguard his safety in times of extreme adversity. Cleaning the Augean stables. Imagine a vast stable forgotten by time, where years of filth manure and the pungent smell of livestock had amalgamated into a scene of neglect. The Augean stables were nothing more than an abomination amidst grandeur, a task so humiliating that it seemed to challenge the patience of any mortal. Hercules, however, saw in this challenge an opportunity to transcend mere brute force. With the cunning of a strategist and the vision of a genius, he conceived a plan so bold it seemed to have been forged in the mind of the gods. He diverted the course of two nearby rivers, allowing their mighty, life-giving waters to rush with purifying fury through the stables, washing away years of neglect and filth. Within hours, chaos was transformed into renewed splendor. The stables were left spotless, not only as an achievement of physical cleanliness, but as a powerful message. The union of intelligence and strength can conquer even the most repugnant obstacles. Destroy the birds of Lake Stymphalus. In a remote forest plagued by shadows, terror rose in the form of grotesque birds, whose feathers shone like metal in the gloom and whose beaks gleamed lethally. These creatures, guardians of a dark secret, mercilessly attacked anyone who approached them, leaving behind a trail of chaos and destruction. By order of the monarch, Hercules entered this gloomy realm, aware that the roar of the wings of these birds was a harbinger of death. However, with the help of Athena, goddess of wisdom, he received some bronze castanets. When struck, a roar would be unleashed so powerful that it would shake the foundations of the forest, thus causing absolute panic in the creatures, who abandoned their nests in the blink of an eye. Well, with the roar, the birds rose in a chaotic stampede, filling the sky with the grotesque birds. However, Hercules, without thinking twice, pulled out his bow, and with lethal precision, he fired arrow after arrow, thus shooting down every bird that dared to return. In that instant, the forest was transformed into a stage, where the art of war and agility intertwined in perfect harmony. Capturing the Cretan bull. Under the scorching Cretan sun, a bull of colossal ferocity emerged, sent by Poseidon to punish mankind. This majestic animal, with a roar that shook the island and horns that seemed to defy fate itself, embodied the uncontrollable fury of nature. However, Hercules ventured into the vast fields of Crete, where the ground vibrated with each charge of the beast. There, in the heart of the island, he found himself face to face with an imposing bull, whose unleashed fury broke the silence of the earth. The creature, wild and untamable, mercilessly attacked everything that stood in its path. With unwavering determination, the hero launched himself into combat, clinging tightly to the majestic horns of the bull, and subduing it with a power that seemed to descend from the very heavens. After a fierce fight, the bull was taken to Mycenae, where its fury was transformed into a legend, evoking the power of nature tamed by human strength. Capture the mares of Diomedes. In the distant lands of ancient Thrace, where gloom and mystery merge into legend, there existed mares of a frightening and savage appearance. They were not simple creatures, but beasts of unbridled ferocity, with eyes that burned with inhuman hunger. It was said that their appetite knew no bounds. They fed exclusively on human flesh, and their roars announced the arrival of death. The origin of such a terrible fate lay in the corrupt heart of King Diomedes, a ruthless ruler whose cruelty was as legendary as his power. Diomedes offered his subjects the most macabre of dinners, feeding his mares with the flesh of those who stood in his way. Thus, at each feast, the fate of countless souls was sealed, and the beasts grew more voracious, thus fueling a cycle of cruelty and terror. When the time came for Hercules to face this challenge, the hero entered the dark Thracian territory without hesitation. He knew that his enormous strength would not be enough. He needed ingenuity and courage to break the cycle of violence that Diomedes had established. With stealth and determination, Hercules infiltrated the tyrant's kingdom, where terror was in every corner. In an epic confrontation, Diomedes' fury met Hercules. The battle was fierce, and in the chaos, the hero prevailed over the tyrant. With unrelenting force, Hercules ended Diomedes' tyranny, ending the source of evil that fueled the mares. But the real challenge remained. The mares, conditioned by years of blood and violence, could not be tamed by brute force. Hercules realized that to free them from the curse that had chained them to ferocity, he must resort to an act loaded with symbolism. In an act that fused the macabre with justice, Hercules sacrificed the tyrant Diomedes to break the dark influence that corrupted the mares. By offering the tyrant's essence as a sacrifice, the fury that drove them was transformed into an unexpected calm, allowing him to tame them, bind them, and lead them back to Mycenae, proving that even in the darkest corners, justice and hope can prevail. Obtaining Hippolyta's belt. In distant kingdoms, where female courage was the law, Hippolyta reigned, imposing sovereign of the Amazons. Her belt, much more than an ornament, symbolized the authority, wisdom, and ancestral strength of a people in sacred communion with nature. When King Eurystheus asked Hercules to obtain this treasure, the hero embarked on a dark journey, full of omens and mixed emotions. Upon arriving in the land of the Amazons, Hercules found Hippolyta on her war throne, surrounded by determined and proud warriors. With majestic bearing, the queen listened to the hero's request, and in a moment of sincere alliance, she showed herself willing to hand over the belt, recognizing in Hercules the nobility and courage that had forged his legend. Thus, the belt was offered as a symbol of peace and understanding between their peoples. However, in the shadows, Hera, driven by jealousy and envy, began to sow intrigues. With poisonous whispers, she made the Amazons believe that Hercules intended to usurp Hippolyta's authority and sully the purity of her legacy. The atmosphere became tense. Suddenly, the warriors raised spears and bows, and trust turned into violent confrontation. Hippolyta, wounded in her faith, fought desperately to defend her honor and her people, while Hercules, caught in the middle of the conflict, felt the tragic weight of destiny. In the chaos, the alliance broke down, and, between screams and tears, the belt ended up in Hercules' hands. It was not conquest, but the sad result of a destiny manipulated by jealous gods, leaving the hero with the bitter reminder of how intrigue and ambition can sully even the noblest of acts. stealing Geryon's cattle. Beyond the boundaries of the known world, in a realm where giants wove their legends, stood Geryon, a giant three-bodied colossus, guarding a herd of oxen whose vibrant red evoked the blood spilled in ancient battles. These sacred and majestic cattle represented the embodiment of incomparable wealth and power. Driven by a burning desire to conquer every challenge, Hercules ventured into those wild, inhospitable lands. The encounter with Geryon became an epic of titanic proportions, a duel where brute force fused with cunning and precision. However, from a distance that seemed to defy all laws, Hercules launched a poisoned arrow, infused with the lethal venom of the Hydra. The arrow streaked through the air with the speed of divine lightning, sealing the fate of the Colossus and marking another legendary victory in the heart of mythology. Obtain the golden apples from the garden of the Hesperides. In the Greek world, golden apples were unrivaled treasures, coveted by gods and mortals alike. Guarded in a secret garden and watched over by the enigmatic Hesperides nymphs, these fruits shone with an almost divine glow. However, Hercules, driven by his unwavering determination, discovered the hidden location of that Eden. With unparalleled cunning, he convinced the Titan Atlas to collect the coveted apples, offering to hold the heavens on his shoulders himself. When Atlas returned with the apples, he expressed his intention to give them to Eurystheus. But the shrewd and ever-alert hero realized that Atlas planned to take advantage of the opportunity to free himself from the eternal burden of holding up the heavens. Undeceived, Hercules came up with a brilliant plan. He proposed that the Titan take over the responsibility of holding up the sky, while he, in that brief and decisive moment, devoted himself to adjusting his cape. Taking advantage of the distraction, Hercules escaped with the apples, thus fulfilling his challenge and reaffirming his legend. Capture Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed dog. Eurystheus, tired of seeing Hercules always emerge victorious from each test, so for his last labor, he devised a challenge of infernal proportions, which was to send the hero to steal Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed dog of Hades that guarded the gates of the underworld. However, the only way to escape alive from that gloomy realm was to have the divine help of Hermes and Athena, who did so by order of Zeus, heeding the hero's call. Once Hercules entered the dark realm of the underworld, he faced landscapes of gloom and desolation, freeing and helping several wandering souls on his way, including that of the mythical Theseus. Finally, when he appeared before Hades, the god of the dead listened to the hero's request, that he hand over Cerberus. With an implacable look, Hades agreed, but imposed one irrevocable condition, saying to him, "Young Hercules, if you truly wish to take Cerberus, I challenge you to face him and tame him without resorting to weapons." Hercules, hearing Hades's request, agreed without hesitation. And at that very moment, a legendary battle broke out, in which Hercules's brute strength and unbreakable will faced the beast's savage fury. After an intense and dizzying fight, the hero managed to subdue Cerberus with his own hands, proving that courage and determination can conquer even the most terrifying obstacles. Upon returning to Mycenae with the fearsome dog, King Eurystheus was paralyzed with terror at the sight of Cerberus in his own palace. Knowing that Hercules had successfully completed the 12 labors and had thus atoned for the guilt of that terrible crime, Eurystheus had no choice but to release him from any future obligations. Listening to the tale of Hercules' 12 labors, the young traveler, staring blankly at the ruins, whispers in wonder, "Old man, from what I understand, each of these challenges was not only a test of strength, but also of ingenuity, courage, and above all, of redemption. That's right, young traveler. With each test, the hero not only defeated monsters or physical challenges, but faced his own shadows, seeking to repair the mistakes of a past marked by tragedy. The legend of Hercules teaches us that true strength lies in the ability to rise, to learn from pain, and to transform each obstacle into a stepping stone to redemption. An epic that resonates through the ages, reminding us that even in adversity, the human spirit can achieve immortality. For as long as there are those who remember these stories, the echo of the 12 labors of Hercules will live forever, inspiring those willing to face the impossible and forge their own destiny. Incredible. But tell me, old man, did he ever find peace? Peace? Ah, young traveler, that is a privilege heroes rarely know. But his story lives on, and as long as there are those who tell it, Hercules will never die.